So today I'd like to talk about the default mode network and also going into a little bit of the Kabbalah. So first of all, after I cut myself off from me, I stopped trusting. That's where we're starting from. So affirmations are preparation. It's the antidote after you've been stung. So the antidote is you tell yourself nice things after you feel like, I don't like the feeling of the not nice things that I'm telling myself. And then when we cut ourselves off from us, we stop trusting ourselves. We're not going to really listen to what we have to say. So that's why I feel like a lot of what I share is we're affirming, like I do it in a very subtle, casual way. I go kind of behind the bush. I try to say things in words you're not heard before as best as I can. So I just like to think of these videos as the medicine before you get unwell. So this is my gift, my offering. In the female versus male aspects of God, and if we think about like a few things. So first of all, it's like when I say default mode network, I mean we're learning how to, it's the distracted, discursive time traveling, fantasizing, ruminating, worrying about past and future. It's the opinion formation, identity formation. It's thinking about ourselves. It's for survival. It has implicit memory bias because of negativity bias, means that the brain is more likely to save information on dangers. Oops. Forgot about that earphone. And so if it looks like a problem, I'm looking at it from the wrong angle, and a dead rat by a bus. Stop there. It's going to swell up and get worse if it's ignored and it rots. So there's this idea that if you're not about it, no pressure, someone else will be. Like, the default mode network is the focused attention that synchronizes the body and mind. The opposite. The default mode network is the other, focused attention. I explained what the default mode network is. The focused attention is this eye gazing and also looking at the periphery. It's kind of a bigger picture and it syncs the body and mind. So focused attention is like all of me is included in this moment. So there's two. So I was talking about the default mode network is sort of looking at all the details, gets stuck, like I just said, in the periphery. And then the focused attention is like, I don't have something else that I'm waiting for to be better, that anything could get me, or that I'm running from something bad, that anything could push me. It's kind of this idea that we're not leaving for someone else, but for us, for our safety, for our peace, for our energy. We're not doing what the default is anymore. We're not giving our present away for someone else's future anymore. We stop trying to impress others as we recognize it's a privilege to be in our life, our company, our time, our attention, our minds, our heart, and our body. And it's not our job to clear up other people's wrong ideas about us. So I'm going to go into a little bit of the Kabbalah behind some of this, so the Ashlagi and ladder. But before I do that, I'm going to talk about the feminine, masculine aspect of God. The feminine identifies as divine being. It connects to source. It honors life. It sees possibility. It's conscious of the innate wholeness and listens to intuition. It has a strong foundation and focused on positivity. So the male aspect of God, the Rasta, or Asherah, like I spoke. So when the female aspect by itself was worshipped, it became this overly idealistic about women, and also it caused a lot of damage to the culture of Judaism. Asherah was actually this it's called like Ashrei, like the flow. It's this sense of always being connected, the constant flow of life coming from the Creator through the woman, and how she's always on, she's always perfect, she's always beautiful. So actually when they turned that into an idol, now the feminine version of God was no longer godly, and it became called like where they just had the Asherah, they destroyed it from the temples. They said, no, there's no co-creator with God. You can't have it be like that. God is not a man that needs a woman, a human woman to create the world, and you're painting out this feminine as a human woman. And then you have Rastas, like from some cultures you would say, well, in Hebrew we would say Ra doesn't mean a good thing, but in other cultures, Lahavdil, you would say Rasta is often what it's called. It's the divine masculine. So that moves us in its own rhythm, hospitable, generous, dwells in fundamentals, well-balanced, creative and destructive energy, and it's we-based without needing someone to define him. So that would be his emanation, right? And that works perfectly. That feminine and that masculine I just described, they work perfectly together. They are so matched, everything I just shared, because they're one. It's positive and negative pulling apart just to have something to come back to. But when there's too much of that masculine energy and the feminine is treated like an object now, so like the dark side of this, removing the feminine, now you have rasa, it becomes pretty unhealthy and pretty bad, because now you have an inability for the semi-permeable membrane, which means I'm not going to take everything, but I'm not going to, take nothing. So this ability it's a very different, it's much more subtle work, because you can't take all of it, you can't take none of it. It's not all or nothing. It actually is dynamic. So the default mode network is like, this like old way of being, and then the marrying this inner feminine and masculine without taking just one or just the other, like I said, it's very unhealthy actually for all of us if the man forgets that if I can't have you, no one should have you. If you're not mine, you're bad. That kind of mentality is what doesn't help any of us. And there's a piece here, which is like the default mode network comes when we're not getting enough rest. So there's types of rest. There's opening containers. What are the 4 types of rest? Emotional rest is stopping resisting the feeling. Emotional rest is actually fully feeling. To rest emotionally is to just let go of resisting. Spiritually is to have a focused activity that builds tolerance. Why? Because our spirit is expansive and infinite, and we need to be able to connect with that part of us where we go right above our threshold, where we could generate a little more than we're used to. Building tolerance means getting a little bit higher threshold. That literally rests the spirit. So the spirit can rest now because it doesn't feel like it's being constricted into our smallerness. Mental is finding flow. Actually, the mind can rest when it doesn't have to solve a problem, but it is allowed to solve any problems that come up. That allowance of everything's fine is we call flow, right? Flowing allowance. It's just always allowing, right? And then we have physical, which is complete surrender. Complete surrender means I can just lay on the floor. There's nothing I have to do. The whole body, every cell rests. We don't usually get this rest. We don't usually have complete surrender while we're sleeping, while we're meditating. It's actually, most people who take sleeping pills do not completely surrender. There's a lot of energy required for processing and metabolizing the new pathway and letting go of what it thought it needed in terms of rest, quality of rest. So these pills that we take sometimes as a society do not allow us to completely surrender to the natural flow of fatigue and stress and all that. Now I'm going to complete this with this Kabbalah, the Ashlagian ladder. We start at Keter. This is the seed level of light, infinity. We move into Chachma, which is pure intensity. It's timelessness. So we come in infinite. Then we have this timelessness of like, there's a pure intensity. Now there's like a bzzz, a life, right? A pure energy. And then there's this desire to love. I want it to be good. I want it. I want unity. It's like I'm willing to receive it completely and understand it. Then we have this triad of Chesed, Gevura, and Tiferet. Chesed is generosity. What does generosity? It means giving without expectation, without needing anything. You don't even need thank you. And then you have Gevura, which is the desire. Desire on this side now, right? Continuing from this left side, which we said first is desire to love. This is desire. Desire to love is also desire to receive. Because I want you to, I love you, I want exactly what you want to give me. I love you, right? It's unity. But then here we have Gevura, desire. This is a generation passion. This is a desire for the self alone. So it's not like I want to receive you necessarily. It's for I want. So it's this deeper I want. The next I want is actually a humbled I want. It has to pass through something. So this desire is a burning fear of risk. In other words, I don't want too little. I don't want to get hurt. I want good. I want to feel good. I want to feel safe. It's not bad. Then this right side, this middle, this right and this left, in the middle is glory, kind of, but not exactly glory. It's more like the harmony, the beauty, the perfection. I'm good and I'm doing good, right? I want me. I want to be me. Then we have this upper triangle, which is the potential, right? Then you have, and you notice I spoke about it very casually, kind of like, it's not bad to desire. It's not bad to share without wanting people to know how to say thank you. And it's not bad to kind of say, like, I'm good and I'm doing good. But this lower, which is the actual, we have to have a win-win victory, which is the right leg. So this, or the right side. Like, so you have here the chesed, giving without expectation, but then we move it into the real. Sustainability means you need to say thank you. You need to be around people that are grateful and are not black holes constantly taking. So you do need that win-win. You need to feel that what you're giving matters and that you have more than enough to give. So there's that level of what could last? What could last? What could hold me? So that's this right side of the leg. And then we have the left side, which is gratitude. Or in other words, I want this because it's good, because I'm so blessed. It's the glory for real, because it's like, I want to keep looking. I want it to stay like this. I'm so blessed. I want to be worthy. Then we move into this yesod, which is the lower triad point. It points downward, and it's kind of this. It's not that it points down. It points up, but it's coming from the lower half. The upper half points down, but when I say point down and point up, what I mean is when they come together, the top of the bottom is below the bottom of the top. So this is the bottom of the top, right? And then you have here the top of the bottom. So this whole thing moves up. There are two triangles, one triangle like this and one triangle like this. The bottom top moves up is actually higher than the bottom of the top. The bottom of the top ends up being lower than the top of the bottom. Because of this crossover, now we have Yesod is matching with Tiferet, right? This is creativity, abundance, patience, equanimity, but it's really that foundation. It's the foundation of where we trust the adaptive, full-flowing nature. It's kind of like where we had that Chachma Bina energy triad. Now it goes lower. It's kind of like this, what can we do with it? Could we even make a baby with it? In other words, could it sustain a whole world, a child's whole world? And then Malchut is the physical manifestation. It's transformation. It's foundation. It's real. And this latter is what we call, we call it living in ourself, in our chain of being. We are being charity. We are being grace. We are being security. We are being wholeness. We are being alchemical rising. We're being forgiveness. We're being acceptance. We are being humility. We are being that generosity, right? I'm going to stop here and hopefully continue more tomorrow on some similar topic. Thank you for spending this time with me. Be well. Bye.